Neil Bogenrieder. I do things. And with me is Neil Bogenrieder. I do things.
Brett, hang on, Brett.
And with me
wait.
is... Never mind, I got sound on. I'm sorry. I kept my link onto my Twitch, and it was blasting in my ear. So,
It's all good.
So with me is the host of the Spider-Man Crawlspace podcast, Brad Douglas.
Hello. I'm happy to be on the Variety Hour. It's like a Carol Burnett segment.
Exactly. So Brad and I have a previous working relationship because I used to write for him for 5 years, and then I started doing like guest appearances on the regular podcast, and I am, I guess, a fixture of the satellite podcast. So I decided
you're what they call a regular.
Yeah. So I decided to take an episode of the Bogenrieder Variety Hour to talk to Brad about things that aren't Spider-Man. Now, granted, we do that all the time on satellites because we get King and Black tie-ins that have nothing to do with Venom, but you know.
Never thought we'd talk about Namor, right?
Oh, and the Union, you know, the UK team that has, I think, after this issue, nothing to do with King and Black. Oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're going to talk about 4 things today. The first is Immortal Hulk, because for those of you who don't know this, aside from being a Spider-Man fan, I think the Hulk is Brad's favorite character. It might be, like, he's just wrapped his entire theme around Spider-Man, but I think the Hulk is his favorite. No?
No, Spider-Man's my favorite character. Hulk is number 2. I grew up in the 70s, mid-70s, late 70s, and Marvel had 2 big icons that they put on packaging everywhere. It was Spider-Man and Hulk. So you had the Bill Bixby show, you had the Nicholas Hammond show, you had the Electric Company. As a little kid, I could not avoid Spider-Man and Hulk, and I fell in love with both of them. So,
right. And then following the Hulk, we'll be talking about books that aren't Marvel related, because I think the only one you're reading is Batman right now. So we'll talk about Batman a little bit.
Yeah.
Specifically about the current Tinian run, and thoughts on the Tom King run and the pseudo sequel that's been coming up recently. The Batman Catwoman run.
I'm not reading the Batman Catwoman run, but I am reading adjectiveless. You can tell I read a lot of Spider-Man. Adjectiveless Batman.
I mean, you're getting the two hallmarks together at once, so you're not off there.
There you go.
And then we'll be talking a bit about WandaVision. And for those of you who have not watched WandaVision, we'll be keeping it spoiler free. So don't worry, we're good. We're good children. And then finally, we'll be talking about some of the new releases, and one in particular, the Fantastic Four life story, since that ties somewhat to Spider-Man, but another one of Marvel's classics. So I figured I'd pick your brain for a bit, and let's start with Immortal Hulk first. Okay. You've been enjoying the run so far, right?
Yeah, a lot. There's 3 or 4 Hulk runs that are my favorite. I guess I got to go. Peter David's my favorite. Bill Matlow's my second. It took a long time before I found a third that I like, and I think it would be this run. And then 4th is the Paul Jenkins, John Romita Jr. run. But this one I look forward to. Sometimes I read, because I get my box comics once a month, and sometimes Hulk beats out reading Spider-Man first. So yeah. I've loved this run.
Yeah, because I think it helps that they focused a bit more on like the Cronenberg style, like horror element of the Hulk, like going back to its classic Lee Kirby roots. And I think that's gone a long way, because I think the fresh start overall, the relaunch they did back in 2018 that spawned the Immortal Hulk was a really big attempt to go back to basics, and we saw that with Spencer's Spider-Man, and I guess maybe kind of Captain America, but not really. He just fought nuke clones. But Spider-Man and Hulk were the ones that went truly, back to, I guess, square one, for lack of a better term, or at least the closest thing they can go back to square one. And I think the Hulk benefited most from it.
I think the Hulk almost is not even square one. I just think this is like a new version of the Hulk. I've not seen him be death. Well, I guess he's been around 50 years. He's died and come back. But you really can't kill this Hulk. I mean, he can morph. When Banner used to change, his body used to get bigger. His skin got green. This one, he just rips him apart.
Yeah,
it's much of a horror book than a superhero book.
In issue 40, Joe literally crawled out of the Hulk corpse. Like, the Hulk died, and then Joe fixed it, just bursts out of it like the Thing. or not the Thing, the
Right? Yeah,
chestburster from Aliens.
yeah, exactly. And even the recent Thing and Hulk battle, we've been seeing the Thing and the Hulk fight for 50 plus years.
Well, I mean, we did see them
I,
in Slot's Fantastic Four, but we don't count that.
yeah. Did you mention Slot 5 minutes in? Okay. But no, I've not seen that type of Hulk. The Thing was essentially being a child abuser. He was beating the child version of the Hulk, and it's just it's a very different run, and I'm really enjoying this different take on it.
I think this is also the first Hulk run that I've read that personally made me feel like the supporting cast felt essential or comprehensive in a way to the Hulk's, surrounding lineup. Like in this past issue, we just got the UFOs, which I don't think it's a particularly like massive deep cut, but it shows that Ewing's willing to take, the lower end of Hulk's, established villains and give them something to do. And that's even
The UFOs were introduced when I was in prime Hulk reading in the 80s. Bill Mantlo introduced them in the late 200s, and I've always liked the UFOs. So it's just a pleasure to see them back, and
it helps that
I've always loved them. They're like the evil version of the Fantastic Four.
Even the villains are likable. Like, Absorbing Man and Titania are wonderful to read in this book. It helps that this came off the heels of Saladin Ahmed's Black Bolt, which had Absorbing Man as a regular character, but this felt like it expanded.
I didn't read that one.
I would recommend it. I haven't had.
I didn't read that one.
It's better than his Spider-Man run or his Miles run. So that tells you what you need to know.
So he's the current Miles writer, I think.
Yeah, and he's also doing Miss Marvel. Yeah. I think that book just ended though, but
I don't read that one either. Yeah.
But it helped that they've made Absorbing Man into a much more sympathetic character. And even in Chris Cantwell's Iron Man run, they've kind of been taking that new kind of, not necessarily redeemable, but more relatable element of Absorbing Man and using that characterization across the Marvel universe.
Speaking of another book that's been rebooted that's really good is the Iron Man book that you just said. I've liked the first 5 issues of that. I haven't liked Iron Man. Bendis's version just felt off. But, especially with Mary Jane in it, it was just odd. Matt Fraction's early Iron Man book was good, but I really like this version best. I don't know why. But,
I think it helps that not only is Kafu's art amazing. By the way, Kafu, I love you. Keep doing great work. I'm using him as a part of my social media project, so you're welcome. But I think it helps that there's a classic aesthetic along with that very well composed art, and that Cantwell's using Tony's rogues much more respectfully than Slott did. Like it doesn't feel like he's trying to write a movie, if that makes sense. Because like with the Slott book, I know we're going back to Slott again, but he's
taking a shot every time I do.
Well, we're doing that. I'm gonna pop this open. There we go, baby.
The Slott book was an absolute mess.
It sucks because there was a great artist on it.
The what?
It sucks because there was a great artist on that book, Valerio Schiti.
It was Schiti, all right, but I have no idea what in the world Slott was trying to do with that. I don't get it. But anyway, back to the Hulk.
Yeah, let's talk about the book we came here to talk about.
No doubt.
But I think that it helps that this book has had not only a great use of Hulk's, messy editorial history with like all the different personalities, but it's gone out of its way to make new characters. Like Jackie McGee is an example of a character who I think is wonderfully transformed over the course of the series.
I would agree, and I like her name, which is an homage to Jack McGee from the '70s.
I think she's meant to be like a direct. I think she's meant to be like a direct adaptation.
Exactly. I think that's so cool. That shows you, Ewing knows his Hulk, that's just awesome.
And I think it's gone into some weird places. And I think one of the major themes that I'm not sure if you picked up on. I think one of the major themes is like institutions versus the people. because Hulk always goes about like, I want to destroy the world,
Right.
but he's never talked about like how he wants to do it, and typically it ends with fighting institutions. Like in issue 26, the one, or is it issue 28, the one with the Teen
The
Brigade?
Minotaur or the guy with the horns? What was his name?
Agar.
Okay. Yeah, he was part of a corporate organization. How does Hulk smash that? So
And I thought that how they did it was actually kind of interesting. Not necessarily that they just went in and punched him hard. That like he was a victim of his own, I guess, hubris, because he was so obsessed with keeping himself safe that he ended up falling prey to Zemnu. And I guess Zemnu.
yeah, it was well done.
Yeah. And I guess
who I barely remember Zemu, the big white dude.
Yeah,
that looks like the Cookie
he's,
Monster.
He's back from like it was like early Cosmic Marvel. I think Englehart's Marvel Tales.
Something like that. It's I don't. All I remember is there was a Hulk annual where he fought Zemu and he fought the big giant Groot. So he fought like 50s Marvel's monsters.
And then, like, following off of that, like, you got Betty, like, they're taking Ewing was forced into a weird corner because just before this run started, there was a lot of status quo changes. Like, Jason Aaron went and undid the She-Hulk from Tamaki's run. Like, for whatever reason, now she's the savage She-Hulk thing. And then Betty got depowered, I think.
Betty's
during,
what's that thing from the 70s that she flies and she's green? Herpy. Yeah, doctor, I've got a bad case.
Oh no. Mature audiences here, folks.
I just said you're the one that said herpy. I wouldn't have said anything if I didn't say. But no, I don't know how your mileage runs, but Jason Aaron can almost do no wrong for me. I've liked pretty much everything Jason Aaron has done. I've liked his Ghost Rider. I liked his Wolverine. I liked his Star Wars. The only his Thor is amazing. The only Jason Aaron book I did not like was his Hulk.
Really?
I don't know what. I didn't like his Hulk at all. I don't know. All I remember is Banner shoots himself and dies. That's all I remember.
I'm sorry, just the way you're like, oh yeah, Banner shoots himself.
I mean, I think that's like issue 1. I'm like, where do you go from there? Well, Al Ewing did it well, but I didn't like Aaron's run. I didn't like Mark Waid where he made the Hulk
like power armor
work
Hulk,
for
right?
Shield. He worked for Shield. Greg Pak is hot and cold for me. World War Hulk is awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember you talking about how much you like World War Hulk, and it just kind of felt weird because because Planet Hulk is like the immediate predecessor to World War Hulk, and that's weird to hear you say you didn't like it.
Well, the reason I liked it is because it was on Earth, and he fought all the heroes of Earth. He wasn't a gladiator.
I think where you're going with that is like it helps that it felt more like it had more consequences to the Illuminati plotline from Bendis, where they shot him into space.
One of my favorite Matlow issues is Hulk 300, where he just loses it, and Doctor Strange sends him to the crossroads, and a black suited symbiote Spider-Man fights him. Actually, Spider-Man doesn't do much to the Hulk. I think he stopped some people from falling. He put a web under him. That was the extent, but he sure did take up a lot of real estate on the cover of 300 Hulk.
Because he knew he would sell.
But that's what World War Hulk felt like. More of just a berserker Hulk, just ticked. And I thought that was great. I didn't really like him being a gladiator and making babies. Like Scar, etc. And then you had the Incredible Hulks plural, where he had a whole bunch of people. So the last, I guess the one before Pack is Paul Jenkins, and the one in between that we haven't talked about is Bruce Jones. And I liked the early Bruce Jones stuff. The other stuff went off the rails.
So it's kind of like Slott on Spider-Man.
Oh, exactly. Well,
everything comes back to Slott.
Right, hold
it's
on.
It's sort of like, you remember in the Phantom Menace documentary when George Lucas is in front of the whiteboard and he has a bunch of Jar Jar things in front of him, and he's like, Jar Jar's the key to all this. If we can get Jar Jar
I was
working.
I was talking to some friends the other day, and they said Star Wars all comes back to incest. I'm like,
What
what in
the
the world are you talking about? And I'm like, what in the world are you talking about? And they said, well, Luke kissed Leia in Empire. I'm like, well, I don't think Lucas knew. And they were like, because I thought they kissed in episode 4, but it was Empire, so he knew what he was doing. And then they were like, well, then the recent Star Wars, Rey kisses Kylo, and they're both Skywalkers.
Well, no, Rey's Skywalker name is like ceremonial rather than like blood.
Yeah, I know, but it has a tinge, and I'm like, okay, I can see your point. But anyway, how do we get here?
But you were talking about incest.
Oh yeah, we took a left.
How edgy.
I know. There you go.
I guess also something weird, and I guess this will tie into like the big controversy is like how Hulk is tied into religion. Like they every issue they have like that big important quote, and it's not always biblical, but
they do have a lot of biblical quotes.
And I guess it's kind of weird because like typically comics tend not to dabble into religion very much, but Hulk being tied to like Cronenberg tier horrors, I guess has some biblical element to it, and I guess that makes it something that would naturally tie in given the Lovecraftian style horror.
Okay. Yeah, and if you want to lead into the religion, you and I were talking about before we went on the air. I'm a bit confused about Bennett's controversy. So, do you want to set it up for the viewers? Because I'm still a little confused about what happened. I've briefly read the article.
So let's make this a bit of upset. So not only for you, but let's make this a learning moment for chat and something of a let's make this a constructive learning moment. So in the pages, I believe it's on page 4 of the book on the digital edition. And this is just for context so people know what we're talking about. There's a page where Joe Fixit steals a man's wallet, and it's full of a bit of cash and a credit card, and he goes to a jewelry store to buy some jewelry and pawn it off to get some cash. And in the background, it's very hard. I didn't notice it until like someone pointed it out to me, but he took the L out of jewelry and replaced and with it just says Cronenberg jewelry, which depending on who you ask can be seen as an anti-Semitic slang for like a thing that a Jew does to topple the West.
Yeah.
And then it also has implications because Cronenberg was Jewish.
Okay.
And so I think.
Refresh me with a Cronenberg movie. I'm sure I've seen one.
I believe he is. Hell, let me go look this up because I don't want to.
I want to share that you and I are live. Get some audience members in here. I'm going to put it on the Crawlspace Facebook and Twitter and Twitch.
So
let's get some people in here talking to us too.
So he's the guy who did the Fly video roam.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have. I've seen the original Fly pre. My gosh, it's been 30.
Uh-oh. Brad? Ruh-roh. I think Brad left. Hang on, I'm messaging him. We'll get him back on the air. Okay, so he didn't know whatever he did would end his cam. He's going to share on Discord that we're live. Okay, so I assume he's going to the Crawlspace Discord server. By the way, I'm a mod there, so if you're into that, go to the Crawlspace Discord and we talk about comic books there. I don't think it should have ended your camera. Hang on. There you are.
Not now. Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. I was trying to go on the Crawlspace and Discord and tell people to join us.
Hang on. Do you want me? I'll go into the general and send a link to my Twitch. Hang on.
When you said that, I thought of insurance. I'll go to the general and get some cash. Do you know those ads?
Oh yeah, like the general insurance. Yeah.
Shaq is in them. Yeah.
Hang on. Do you want me to at everyone or at here? Because at everyone.
Oh,
only...
everyone. Let's do everyone. Let's wake them up out of bed.
We're gonna mention like 100 people.
Come up, man. There we go. Okay, so we were talking about. That's weird.
Religion and or anti-Semitism in comics. So, so let me take you back to 2017.
Okay.
So you remember X-Men Gold?
I do remember that. Yeah.
So for those of you
controversy.
So for those of you who aren't aware, I say this because I'm using a similar event to kind of make you wonder why it's bad. So for those of you in the chat who don't know why this is bad, so back in 2017 when X-Men Gold #1 launched, in the first issue, there's a couple panels that stuck out to people. The first is Colossus when he's hitting the baseball bat. You see on his T-shirt. QS5:51, which is I believe a Quran verse, which says, which basically advocates for violence against Christians and Jews, and then later on, when Kitty Pryde is confronting a crowd, there's a jewelry shop that has the word Ullery or early conveniently like cropped into the side, so it just says Jew next to Kitty Pryde. And then 212, which for those of you who don't know is a reference to the December 2nd protests. So
grief.
So I bring that up because it's a similar event where, you know, an artist slips something into the background, which is like a racial or religious dog whistle. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's a trope that Jews are are intricately tied to the jewelry business.
Okay.
I
mean, artists have been doing. It's a shame that artists put little things in the background. Have for years. They've put like the picture. They've drawn the writer and the artist in the background crowds. It's a shame that artists put hatred in the background.
Yeah,
which is what it sounds like he's done.
Yes, and people could say like, oh, it's a reference to Cronenberg on its own, but it's like with the jewelry thing and the Star of David next to it, there's kind of a, you know, question being asked, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, I saw he apologized. What did he said that writing jewelry backwards messed up or something, and then he said the Star of David was he can't explain that one. Is that what he said?
I think so. I could pull it up real quick and.
Yeah. No, I think that's pretty much a quote, but. Anyway.
Hang on, anti-Semitism.
I guess the question is, does he need to be fired, or was it a mistake?
I think there at least needs to be some kind of consequence, not just for Bennett, but also for the editor who missed this. Like that's a pretty big thing to miss, especially because Bennett has views that lean into they aren't anti-Semitic on themselves, but they tend to overlap with people who express anti-Semitic ideas. Mm-hmm. So back in, I believe, 2018, do you know who Glenn Greenwald is?
I don't.
So he's a journalist who lives, I believe, in Rio de Janeiro, and he is a gay man. And the leader of Brazil, Jair.
He's not the guy that wrote the clone thing, is he? No, that was Glenn Greenberg is who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Greenwald is the guy who wrote the original expose on
Greenwald.
Edward,
okay, I'm confused.
He's the guy who wrote the original expose on Edward Snowden. back when the original NSA leak happened.
Oh, okay. Getting my comics
Yeah,
confused. Okay, yeah.
and so back in I believe 2018, he was like mildly he was assaulted by a supporter of the Brazilian president Jair Bolsonaro.
Okay.
And so Bennett went on, I believe, Instagram and said that he thinks that he should have been punched instead of slapped. So basically, he's advocating for assault on a journalist who, and it might also be because he's gay. I believe he hates trans people. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but going off of social media, and he made a joke about She-Hulk during this era being Hulk's transgender sister. And it was like that's really weird. But
Yeah.
I do think there needs to be at least some consequence to this. I don't advocate for just out and out canceling, but like if they don't do anything, I think that he'll see this as like a green light to just keep doing it.
Oh, I think he'll have more of a microscope on him to not do it.
I hope so.
Honestly, if he still has a job after this.
I think
I saw it on some comics site, and it talked about how Marvel editors are tasked with putting out more books than they can handle. So it's very easy for stuff to get by them. We've seen it in Amazing Spider-Man when they said they referenced, what was it? Mary Jane. What was it? Was a Goblin issue where Harry was on drugs, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And they referenced the first when Norman revealed himself. So editors let a lot slide these days that normally would get caught, I would think.
Yeah, I think there's two lessons to be learned here. One is keep a closer eye on your artists, especially when they have expressed political beliefs. And the second is hire more editors, because clearly Marvel's putting out like what 70 titles nowadays.
Yeah.
Like back in March of last year, they were putting out like 91 books, and with their current editorial staff, they can't handle that. Especially since I think most of the more important ones like Cebulski don't really go over the page to page deal.
Right.
They mostly handle big picture stuff. So I don't know. I think it's disappointing that Bennett's just kind of made this into a situation by putting anti-Semitic imagery.
I would think this would be his biggest break of his career. This is what this run of Hulk is what he would have been remembered for. A groundbreaking Al Ewing and him teaming up and making one of the best Hulk runs of all time. And he tarnished it with his hatred if he intentionally did this.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to just piss on something that was beautiful.
And I know it's like it's like people are worried about like him being canceled, but like in this case, like everything kind of overlaps together to show that this was either done as a really bad mistake or a deliberate dog whistle.
You let your racism show. Some people hide that, and you just can't hide it. It just seeps out in the things you do, like your art, etc. And it shows that sometimes genius people can be very blinded by their hatred and racism.
Here's a good question: how many do you think that this is like Bennett's last chance? Do you think like he can let it slide one more time, or
in the comics industry, I remember two other instances. The X-Men guy that you mentioned. I don't think he's working very much these days.
I think he's blacklisted from the Western industry.
Exactly. And there's another guy that was an X-Men artist in the early 2000s, and I can't think of his name.
Is this the guy who made that the Sabretooth one where it's like the lettering the lettering mistake and it says like the Jewish slur named Sabretooth?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But he was no, not Silva. Anyway, there's an X-Men artist, and obviously it's been 20 years. I can't remember his name, but I haven't seen him on any big art things. So once a big controversy like, who's the guy that wrote Moon Knight that allegedly used his power to... Warren Ellis. He is a very well-known artist, a writer, and he's sort of been blacklisted because he took liberties with female fans, etc. So, I mean, You can easily be blacklisted in the comics community.
I think whether or not he does get fired, I don't know if it'll matter or not, because I think Immortal Hulk is, according to either Ewing or Bennett, is ending soon. Like, because
Yeah.
I think Bennett said that it's ending at number 50, but then Ewing said it might go a little longer than that.
Right.
But I could easily see. I think this is a conspiracy theory, so don't take it at face value. But I think that Bennett might have already kind of been on his way out the door, and this was something he felt he could slip in at the last minute. Who knows? Anyways, Batman.
Oh, okay. Well, here, before we move on to Batman, I want to hear you. How is this the first run of Hulk you've read?
This is the first run of Hulk I've read as it goes on. I was born in 1998, so I didn't start collecting Spider-Man, which is the only book I collected for a while until I believe until 2007, when Civil War was just dying down, and because I'd gotten like the one issue of ASM. I think it was 505, the Vibes issue, and then I started collecting regularly. Oh, sorry.
I mean, you've got Marvel Unlimited, right?
Yeah, a friend and I share the account just because it's.
No.
Do they hunt me down for that? Oh no. Okay.
And don't talk about your Netflix password either. I would recommend, if you like the Hulk, try Peter David's run. Do you like Peter David's writing?
Yeah, I've read David's run before, but this is this is the first Hulk run that I've gotten like the number one for, and then read all the way to the as far as the current issue goes.
I have people often ask when you and I are on the show, we're taking questions, who would be a good replacement for Spencer, and I would like to see Al Ewing Spider-Man.
I kind of want him on Avengers, if that makes sense.
I'd be fine too. I'd be fine too.
I think Ewing's actually more comfortable doing like Space Marvel right now because he's got both Guardians of the Galaxy and Sword, so I think he's got his hands plenty full for now.
Yeah. I think you can dump Sword for Amazing Spider-Man, but anyway. Speaking of tying in into your next topic, I'm giving you a perfect segue.
Woo.
I think Tom King would be a great Spider-Man writer. I literally just read Vision 1 to 12 this past 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think we talked about it on the Crawlspace Facebook chat.
That book, man, that was great.
So
that's my favorite Tom King stuff he's ever written, and I've read all of his Batman.
I think Tom King works in like bite-sized chunks. Like you give him like a 12-issue mini, he works perfectly in that format. I just don't think he works well in ongoings, and you can tell this because like since we're going into Batman, during his Batman,
because we gave you a segue.
Yeah, perfect, baby. But during his Batman run, he just faltered around issue 50, and then he just kept. I felt like the book was spinning its wheels in the mud until the end.
I would agree with that. The thing about let me talk about my thoughts on Batman. What's your questions about Batman? Because I would agree in the fact that there's a big chunk of it. Like I felt there was another story happening in another book. Because I only read Batman.
No, I
don't read the crossover stuff.
Probably, I guess.
And there was a part where Thomas Wayne came in and was a mean Batman. I'm like, I don't get this. What's happening?
Oh, wait, are you talking about the Button storyline, the one with the Flash, or?
Yeah, they had the Watchmen button, and I'm like, what's that? And I thought to myself, well, you wouldn't really understand Amazing Spider-Man and all his little spider friends if you didn't read Spider-Gwen and all the various ones. So Batman's a very similar beast.
That's fair.
So.
But I think it hurts that like. My friend and I made a joke that Heroes in Crisis was King's vehicle for his mental stress. And by the way, guys, this is a PSA. Take your mental health seriously. Like if you need to go see someone, I know it's hard to admit that you need help, but if you need help, go see it.
What was that reference to? Was that in a Batman comic, Heroes in Crisis? What was that?
It was basically like, okay, so Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman may have like in the middle of nowhere this place called the Sanctuary, where people put on like these VR masks and relive their trauma.
Ugh.
And then Wally West snaps and kills like 15 people.
What book was this?
This was Heroes in Crisis.
Oh, okay.
It was like a murder mystery, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, Wally West was revealed to be the killer.
Was that like a little mini series like Marvel puts out?
Yeah, it was like a little mini crossover event.
I see. Okay, gotcha.
Think of I guess like Civil War 2, but worse. Ooh. Think worse than Civil War 2. How bad can that get?
Gross. Okay.
But it went around it came out around the same time like the wedding happened in King's Batman book, and you can tell because he ditched the rebirth suit for the year 1 suit. Personally, I think getting rid of the rebirth suit was a big mistake. The yellow bat around the black one was a god tier coloring choice. You know what I'm talking about, right? The one with the purple cape liner and the yellow lining around the bat symbol.
Is that the one that his dad wore?
No, that's do you remember at the end of did you read Snyder's run?
I did.
It's the one.
My first regular Batman was. I'm one of the rare ones that got brought in with New 52.
Really?
I sampled. I'm still around for one title. I sampled Action Comics. I sampled Superman. I sampled Paul Jenkins. What was that? The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I sampled Detective. I sampled Batman, Justice League, and they all bored me towards the end, except Scott Snyder's Batman, and I kept reading. So I'm still here for Tom King's and what's the new artist or writer?
Tynion.
Tynion. Yeah. I'm still here for that. I still enjoy Batman. I always liked him as a character.
I actually left Batman during King's run, I believe, like just after the bachelor, the one where Lois and Selena have their bachelorette party in the Fortress of Solitude.
I liked that one. I thought that was fun. Did you not like that?
I'm talking about the issues surrounding that issue. It was like the one where he was kidnapped, where he was captured and tortured by Professor Pig.
Oh yeah.
And it's like he's just.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that was what I was talking about earlier, where like I felt like Batman was like a vehicle for King's mental stress, and it felt like that was the arc where it kind of hit that crescendo. I don't know. I left around that part, but then Tynion, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give Tynion a fair shot. You know, Jorge Jimenez is coming in, like, you know, 6 issues in. I'm like, you know what, let's give this a shot. I can't handle it. It's not working for me.
The current Batman's not?
Yeah, it's just not doing it for me.
I think it's about the same quality as King. Maybe that's why you don't like it. It's never been my favorite book of the ones I get monthly. Because I thought Snyder petered out towards the end too.
Yeah, like when you've got like when you had Bat Cop when Jim Gordon became Batman.
Oh, that was so dumb. I hated that.
It was a bad decision in a sea of bad decisions. Like the whole DCU relaunch, that was god awful.
Right. If you compare the 3 writers, and I guess I'm a Batman fan from the last 10 years. I mean, regular reader.
Yeah.
And the highlight of those 10 years, because when did New 52 come out?
Like 2010, 2011. Exactly at the tail end of 2011. Like I think October of that year.
The highlight of the Batman run, from what I've been reading, is the wedding with Catwoman. I think those 2 characters potentially getting married, I thought was the highlight of all 3 writers' runs.
And I think that was part of the problem, is that people were like excited for that plot point, and then like he just cut it loose, and then Catwoman went and did her own solo book, and then Bruce was left like complaining about like oh, my mom's dead for.
Poor as me, yeah. And the Batman Catwoman book that's coming out, I didn't even bother to pick it up because it's not canon, is it? It's like a what if?
Yeah, it's basically like a
what if I could still write Batman?
Yeah. What if Bob Harrison cut me loose?
I mean, I didn't even bother to buy it. I thought it was, again, second run of Batman that peters out towards the end. It just didn't deliver.
It's one of those books I'd recommend getting in like hardcover, Like, because it's one of those Black Label books is going to get like a prestige hardcover, like Sean Gordon Murphy's White Knight did.
I haven't read that.
It's basically the book of Joker did nothing wrong because he wasn't in control of himself.
I have a weird relationship with DC. I got on the DC train in the summer of '89 with the Michael Keaton Batman movie. Like, I was wearing a Batman shirt. I was in high school. I was like the perfect age for that summer of '89, and so I picked up. Along with my regular Marvels, I picked up Batman. I picked up Detective.
That was Dennis O'Neil era, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and I also got on the ground floor of the first new. I remember the advertising campaign for this. The first new Batman #1 since 1940. It was Legends of the Dark Knight, and there were about 4 or 5 different colors. They were all yellow, white, pink, blue, etc. And I bought that. And I think it must have been around 92 or after Batman Returns, I stopped. I'm like, I'm not reading these. I'm not really enjoying them. It was right before Nightfall. I think if I would have stuck around and saw Batman's back get broke, I would have liked Nightfall. But I quit right before Nightfall, and I'm what
was the last arc of that story where Azrael gets to the bat armor?
So I've never read Nightfall, so I don't know.
That last chapter was ass. I'm just gonna say it right now.
That seems to be a Batman theme.
Like the last third of someone's story looks like crap.
Yeah. So I stopped Batman around 92, and as you just said, 2011, I picked it back up, and I enjoyed what I was reading from Snyder, but I just don't have the connection to DC of the characters. With the exception of Batman, I just don't connect with them. Marvel's my place, and Spider-Man's my dude. I don't have enough time to delve into.
You want to hear a secret?
Nightwing. Yeah.
You want to hear a secret? Rebirth was my entry point to DC. Like I'd picked up like the occasional issue every now and then, but like Rebirth was the first time I really gave like a comprehensive look at the DC universe. Like I picked up Scott Lobdell's
that
Red
took place.
Hood.
What took place was Rebirth like 5 years after 52?
It was like in 2016. Like, just as Marvel,
5 years,
just as Marvel was coming off of the Civil War II, Tony Boogaloo.
Yeah.
They relaunched with, like, they brought in like the Watchmen and made them canon. That went nowhere, by the way. That all took place in an alternate universe. So that entire
That's
plot
weird.
point, yeah, like because it was taking too long to come out. So
Here, refresh me. Why was there a yellow button from Rorschach or the Watchmen in the Batcave? Why?
Because Dr. Manhattan put it there.
Why did Dr. Manhattan put it in the Batcave?
I don't remember.
Exactly.
No, it's like okay, so it's the problem is that like the stuff that happened in Rebirth, no one cared about at editorial. So like by the time the book came out, no one was paying attention to it. I think at that point Bendis had come and taken over Superman by the time Doomsday Clock launched. So there was no, but like,
and why isn't Bendis writing Batman? He's writing a book that was solicited. It's just like it's the DC version of Spider-Man Unlimited. It's like Batman Unlimited or whatever.
Batman Universe.
It's like a one and done. Yeah, that thing. When I saw the solicitation for that, I'm like, that sounds like a Marvel Unlimited or Spider-Man Unlimited type book.
And that's where I think Bendis has been the strongest since coming to DC. Like his Superman run was awful, and then like he's got all this Wonder Comics stuff. The books that weren't his were the best ones. Yeah. Like Dial H for Hero and Wonder Twins were amazing.
Why doesn't Bendis and John Romita Jr. take on Batman?
I don't want John Romita Jr. in anything nowadays. His art's okay, so we've talked about this before on Satellites, where like his art was great up until like after World War Hulk, and then when he went on Avengers, it just went on a complete nosedive in quality.
I agree.
But I agree. I guess if there is a place to put him, it is on like a Satellite Batman book. Let Tynion write his, and then let Bendis just handle it from.
Scott Snyder and John Romita Jr. teamed up, and I thought his Batman looked solid.
It might just. Remember. He also did like Superman. What was it? Year One or like the origin that he did with Frank Miller, where Superman bangs a mermaid. Yeah, that's the thing that happened.
Yes, I missed that.
If,
What's sad is I was thinking of Little Mermaid, and she goes,
oh,
"Oh,
oh no, oh no.
okay,
But
wow."
but like I related heavily to like Jessica Cruz, one of the newer Green Lanterns. Like I empathize with her anxiety issues.
Cruz.
And then like I
Haven't
read
heard of her.
Scott Lobdell's Red Hood and the Outlaws. I don't know if you read like the New 52 version, but the Rebirth version was much better because he had characters that he could bounce off of.
I like Scott Lobdell's X-Men in the 2000s, didn't he write it? Or 90s?
I think it was 98, like at the Heroes Reborn relaunch.
Yeah. That's right. I liked his stuff there.
The older people get, the less.
Anyway, do you is Marvel your world or is DC your world? What do you like more?
Marvel has been my world. There was a brief period, like I mentioned, it's like when Secret Empire was about to kick off, like that late 2016, early 2017 feel, where DC was my place to go to. But then people say like Fresh Start was a meme relaunch, but it was unironically the relaunch that got me really back into Marvel because 2015 to 2018 or mid 2018 was not a good look for Marvel, and that's when their sales like tanked. But like,
right,
there were like 5 or 6 books that I was picking up from Marvel on the daily.
Speaking of cutting the books down, I just placed my order for my books that come out in April or May, and I've been ordering Marvel comics. I'm going to be 46 this year or this month, and I've been buying comics for 40, maybe 39 years. And this is the least amount of comics I've bought in the last year or two. I can pull up my email of what I order. And I can tell you here. This is what I ordered. I ordered Amazing Spider-Man, Avengers.
You're still reading Avengers?
Yeah, Jason Aaron, man. I told you he doesn't do wrong for me.
Did you not see the newest retcon that he did?
No, I haven't read that issue of Thor yet.
Oh, it's awful. So,
well, he had his mama's a phoenix, right? I've been spoiled. Yeah. But I don't mind the prehistoric Avengers. I wonder where he's going with that.
I wish that they would like focus on like the one interesting element of Aaron's run has been like the superhuman Cold War with like all the different factions.
Yeah, I love that bear that's drunk half the time.
But it doesn't go anywhere. Like every so often we get a reminder that they exist, but then like they just kind of go off to the side for a bit and we forget about them. Like the most they've had, the most exposure they've had is in the new Taskmaster mini where Taskmaster fights Hyperion.
Yeah. I ordered Black Cat, Captain America, Carnage, Daredevil. I love Darkhawk from the 90s, so I ordered that.
Oh, the 30th issue,
Darkhawk.
The 30th anniversary one?
Yeah. It's got the original creators on it. I'm a glutton for punishment. I ordered Fantastic Four. Guardians of the Galaxy, Immortal Hulk, Iron Man, Maestro, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Spider Shadow.
Oh, the
Spider-Woman, Thor.
One?
Yep. No. Yeah. Did he write that? Spider Shadow?
Yeah, it's the one where he.
He still got the suit on. Yeah. Spider-Woman, Thor, Venom, and Wolverine. That's my pull list these days.
Is that for next month or this month?
They're going to be released in April 14th. They just got put up.
Oh, because hang on, let me pull up mine because I don't have as many as you do, but this is the most I've ever had because I don't have lots of money. So I've got Amazing Spider-Man. I actually dropped Venom. I know Tyler is gonna give me hell for that because he's happy about what's going on in that book.
I still like Venom. You should stick around for what Cates is doing.
I think
but if you don't like it,
the problem I remember expressing like a bunch of disappointment during like Venom Beyond when and then the issue 31 I think was when I just like I'm done because it was just 22 pages of him falling. But
well, that's typical for a character that's caught in a crossover. Like his side book is generally short-sighted because the writer's too busy writing the mini. Is what I thought of when I read that Cates issue.
But I'm picking up Amazing Spider-Man, Iron Man, Immortal Hulk, Silk, Beta Ray Bill,
I skipped Silk.
Sword, X-Men, X-Force, and what was I reading? I guess that's really all I'm buying. But I did have a friend let me borrow his issue, like not on digital, but like he gives me his physical issues. So I've been reading Hellions, Cable, and Wolverine. Like we between the two of us, we picked up most of the X titles.
That's one thing that saved me a lot of money is the amount of cutting I did with the X-Men. 10 years ago, it'd be unheard of me not to buy X Factor or X Force.
I think you'd like X Force
or Excalibur. I mean, I guess I'm not sold on this whole Krakoa Island. I thought the mini was okay. It was a bit padded. I hate the white text pages that take up a lot of my comic.
I guess my roommate's
kind of over it. I'm like, well, let's. You what?
My roommate is DoorDash dinner because we're both locked in because he got exposed to someone who was tested positive for COVID. So because I'm his roommate, he tested back negative, but we have to quarantine just to make sure. But
the only two X-Men books I pick up are X-Men and Wolverine, and both are like I could not understand the single issues of there's a good example to tie it into Venom. Single issues of X-Men that were part of that 25-part crossover with swords.
Let me bring something straight. Just because I like the X-Men books on their own does not mean I'm gonna play defense for like how big X of Swords was. I think I was talking with Justin on a Discord in a DM, and I made a point that like you could cut this event in half and not a whole lot would really change the overall event. The one shots were
reading
good.
Those single issues of X-Men, I really had no idea. Like at one point, Apocalypse had a wife. And I'm like, where'd that come from?
Just the way he said like Apocalypse had a wife. I guess.
I tell you what, is he paying alimony? I mean, what? Who's got the kids?
I mean, he paid it in blood in the first issue of the crossover.
Anyway, it was very hard to read those, and I feel slighted when I read those X-Men comics because there's giant pages of white with just a little bit of black text on it. There's a 2-page spread of white with the logo and the credits. I'm like, there has to be at least of a 22-page comic.
They add the data page. The data pages are the ones that are black and white. Those are added free of charge. Like they have the 22 pages and they add the data pages.
Cut them out.
Make mine Mayday Make Mine Mayday just sent me a follow. Thank you for being Eben and following. That's Kelly.
So, hi Kelly.
Brad says.
Well, that's what we did the other day. On Kelly's thread. I said, "Say hi to Neil." So now I'm saying hi to Kelly.
Yeah, we're all middlemen.
But anyway, I'm not digging them. My favorite version of the X-Men are the 80s and early 90s Chris Claremont. So
it might just be me. I enjoy the new. Okay, so Kelly says, "Okay, I never got on Twitch, but I'm saying hi." Hi, Kelly.
Here, Hey, girl. Hey.
Oh no! Oh no! You know, while you're there, drop a follow. I won't judge. But it might just be that I really enjoy.
We were talking about Batman.
We got into X-Men. You know, we kind of actually real quick when it comes out in paperback. You know what? Something I'm going to recommend you get is this book called Far Sector. It was one of those Young Animal relaunches, and that's the only book that's still going on.
What's a Young Animal? What's that?
It's one of DC's like imprints. Like,
okay.
It's basically like I don't know if it's
Young
an Elseworlds
Animal.
or not. I don't know if it's an Elseworlds or not. But if you've read N.K. Jemison's prose fiction, she's an excellent writer. But it's basically like an Elseworlds Green Lantern book.
Oh, I'm good.
Anyways, let's.
I'm good. I really don't have any interest in Green Lantern.
Oh, okay. But anyways,
rather read Darkhawk.
Let's
or Quasar
or Nova.
Or Nova, yeah. All three of those are better than
Well,
Green Lantern.
he's doing
in my
great,
book,
and I love him in Guardians. So, you know what? That's
Darkhawk?
no Nova.
Oh, yeah.
But okay, so we can either talk about WandaVision or Fantastic Four Life Story. So your pick.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
There you go. Let's go here.
Okay, so just a reminder, we're going to be doing this spoiler free for chat in case they don't remember in case they haven't seen the latest
talk
episode.
about Spider-Man being on it?
Oh wow. But what are your thoughts on the series so far? Because I remember you expressed a burnout with Endgame. Or was that George?
No, I like Endgame a lot. It was Infinity War that I had a little bit of problems with.
Really? Because a lot of people I talk about
mainly-
have like the exact opposite problem. Like they loved Infinity War, but like Endgame felt like a wet fart for them.
Endgame I thought was brilliant. Infinity War was not a full movie. It was, I guess, Endgame and Infinity War is like a 4.5 hour movie. If you put them both together, I think it makes a better experience than just releasing one movie and waiting a year to find out what happened. I think watching them back to back, which I think most people would do
Now that they have
nowadays.
Disney Plus, yeah.
Disney Plus, they're like, all right, let's instantly watch that.
I'm
So having to
surprised-
wait a year.
I'm surprised that they didn't like stitch them into a single movie on Disney Plus. Like you know how the Clone Wars latest season had like the Siege of Mandalore. I'm surprised they haven't made that into like its own movie.
Well, I mean, they've done stuff like that before, like The Godfather 1 and 2. They've spliced those together with edits and made it one big movie.
Oh yeah, that's why I'm just surprised that
So
they
I
haven't
imagine-
done it with this. Because it's been like what 2 years
But,
since Endgame came out.
My main complaint about Infinity War, it didn't have an ending. We knew the heroes were coming back, and the Hulk was beaten in 3 seconds. So that's
We got a Hulk fan in here, guys. We got a Hulk fan.
yeah. And the two, even how bad they treated the Hulk in those last two Avengers movies, they were still good. The Hulk was best. The Hulk has been in the MCU is the first Avengers movie. That's straight up Hulk. Him tearing the shield helicarrier part. Oh, that's awesome. And I didn't even like Planet Hulk. I did like him fighting the Thor in a gladiator ring. I thought that was awesome. But Professor Hulk, it's dumb. In an Avengers movie. I just didn't like it.
Did you not like Mark Ruffalo playing Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah, no. I didn't. The Hulk, as we experienced, compare that Hulk to Immortal Hulk, who we just talked about. Two different characters. Two very different characters. Who wanted to see the Hulk in the Avengers movie kind of lose it. Like, at some point, I want the Hulk to just... Like, when he hurt his arm, there's talk of him being in a sling for the rest of any appearance. No, man, he's just going to get ticked off, and it'll heal. He's like Wolverine. He heals. But, I don't... if he appears in She-Hulk in a sling...
I suppose
come on.
I think it's because the CGI to make him like do like big action sequences is overly expensive. Probably is what their justification. They have infinite.
There was
I know.
no budget on that movie.
No, I'm gonna say they had like they have like infinite money for these movies. These are like their cash cows.
Dude.
Like and going
Exactly.
going into WandaVision, like they're clearly going all out with the budget for this show.
Yeah, I read that this is the most expensive television series ever produced, and $250 million, I think, for 9 episodes. And I can see how Disney, the bean counters, made that work. It's just let's make a 3.5 hour movie, or 4 hour, nearly a 4 hour movie. Just budget it like a feature film. Just chop it up, 30-minute blocks.
And
so, you asked me what was the question about WandaVision? Did I like it?
Yeah,
when I first started, I was very confused because I first episode. I'm glad they released 2 at a time, because the first episode there's very little hint something's going on. By episode 2, you get a little bit of peeking behind the curtain. But going into episode 3, after watching the first 2 back to back, I was sort of, man, am I going to like this? Did they really? Are they pulling like an iron fist on me? Like I like the idea, but I'm not the execution. But what just came out Friday? I watched it this morning.
Episode 5.
Episode 5?
Yeah.
Ooh, I can't wait to.
I think issue 4.
It's my seat. It's epic.
I almost said I said issue 4. Episode 4, I think, was perfectly released at the time it needed to be. So like when episode 3 came out, there was a bunch of people who were going like, okay, this has been good so far, but I want some answers. And then like I don't know if it was by accident or by like people, they knew this was gonna happen. Like they released all the answers we needed on the next week, and I thought that was wonderful of them to.
Right.
Yeah. I think this is like there's some fantastic acting in this show, especially like because they keep going back between like these period piece shows. Like you've got the Dick Van Dyke Show homage, and then Bewitched,
Brady Bunch, and I thought Fuller House. There was some Fuller House I was seeing in this most recent one.
I saw more.
Especially
what's that?
The one, there was a shot in the opening when they're running towards camera on a hill, and that was straight up out of Full House on the first one when they're running towards the camera.
I'm fairly certain these. I'm fairly certain these are meant to be more like composite of like shows of their time, but like that one definitely felt like the first 3 ones definitely had like more specific shows they were homaging, whereas the 4th one, and I think that it was meant to be like a warning that like the illusion's falling apart, is that it's becoming more directly composite shows rather than like direct illusions.
One thing I liked the most about these shows is the opening. Did episode 4 have like a little theme song? And I don't think episode 4 did, but episode 5 definitely had an 80s intro with the portrait of them.
Yeah,
and it was getting drawn a little.
I think it was a reference to Cheers. No, Cheers was a different one.
My wife caught it right away. She said that's Family Ties. They're homaging Family Ties.
I don't know why I thought
the
of Cheers.
songs. Everybody knows your name. Da 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 da. Nah, it wasn't that. It was Family Ties goes. Here we are, face to face. A cup. No, that's Silver Spoons. Never mind.
I was about to say this is why I bring you on, because you know things and then you immediately ruined it.
Did no Family Ties? Sha-la-la-la is how it ends. The opening of Family Ties is very much a family portrait. It's colored, and that's what they did with the Wanda and Vision. And I'm like, oh, I see what they're doing there. That's so cool. And they blended a little Family Ties, a little Growing Pains.
I don't know if you caught it. Oh, sorry.
The Full House.
I don't know if you caught it, but in the Discord chat, it's an older episode, so I think we can spoil like the first 2. But like in the Bewitched style opening, when Vision's floating through the house, you see like the helmet of the Grim Reaper in the middle, in between the floorboards. And if you recently read the Tom King Vision book, the entire book gets kicked off because of the Grim Reaper coming to attack the Vision house.
Have we looked at the backyard of the WandaVision house yet? Maybe his wife put something in the ground.
I think we kind of did, because in the back in the Brady Bunch opening, when he's putting together the swing set.
The swings. Yeah. Maybe the Grim Reaper's under the house. Yeah.
He's the reason the swing fell apart. His scythe broke out of the ground and knocked it over. But I think this has been a I don't want to say a powerhouse, but a wonderful showcase of like the actors getting to flex their muscles a bit more, because typically the characters are stuck to like a single personality, but then you've got like the characters in the illusion having to either play a part or changing with the times, because you got like Wanda playing the character of the time, and then you've got the other characters, and then you've got is it a spoiler if we say it's Monica? Because
I say, if you want to, let's talk spoilers. Can we warn people to pause?
Okay, everyone.
I want to talk spoilers.
Everyone, emergency spoiler zone. For the next, I guess, half an hour, we're gonna call this like the emergency spoiler zone. I think Tiana Paris did a wonderful job as Monica Rambeau. She goes in between like the sassy '70s black neighbor stereotype, and then goes into like the Monica Rambeau, the real Monica Rambeau.
So good, and the look visually, she looks just like straight off the comic book, and her hair, and I mean,
hair and makeup has been wonderful in this show, but I think that
I just love that actress and what she's doing with Monica.
I hope she becomes like what is she now? Spectrum in the comics?
I mean, she's been Captain Marvel. She's been Photon. She's been Spectrum. She's had so many names. And if memory serves, I think she debuted in a Spider-Man annual. Yeah, I think she did. She debuted in a Spider-Man Annual 16.
Let's go take a look.
16. Then she went and immediately, because Roger Stern wrote it, and Roger Stern was writing the Avengers.
Yeah, she was his pet character. She was his pet character during Avengers, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, she appeared. So, you are right. She first appeared in ASM Annual number 16.
There you go. There you go. And John Romita Jr. penciled it, I think. All backed around.
Yep, JRJ.
So,
yep. And Stern.
There you go. So, did she get powers when Wanda threw her through the little dome? She was sparkly.
I don't know, but like the blood, like they're doing the blood tests in the sword lab. Also, I want to go to space. Off topic, but I want to go to space, and sword being like
sword
sentient
is up
weapon.
In space too?
I think that was the implication that they're doing like non-terrestrial operations.
Would you geek out over a sword TV show?
Yes. I want to go to space. Like in the Discord when Mike and I were talking, I put in spoiler tags. I want to go to space, Mike. When we saw the sword was just like new shield, and then it said like we're doing non-terrestrial operations, and I typed in the chat to Mike, I'm going to space, Mike.
I'm in a space boat. No, did you notice, Monica, the look when they said the word Captain Marvel? The most recent episode?
That one kind of caught me off guard because, like, in her movie, like, she really looked up to Carol, and now she's like kind of apprehensive about even mentioning her.
That totally is homaging what probably will happen Captain Marvel too.
And I think part of it is that this is me theorizing, and I talked about this in the Discord, but my theory is that like her mom died, and I guess she blames Carol for not being there when she died.
She died, or taking care of her when she was gone, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
The big spoiler: doorbell. Who's on the other side of the door? That was
huge.
I'm
going to be honest. I don't think it's who people think it is. Like, people are saying like it's just it flat out. They're just buying it at face value. Oh, it's Quicksilver. I think that's wrong.
Well, no. Who do you think it is?
I think it's Mephisto.
Mephisto wearing the Fox Quicksilver face.
Yeah, Fox Silver. Yeah, I think it's
Silver. He's a silver fox.
But yeah, I think I think the people who are taking it at face value are wrongly assuming that it should be taken at face value, because this series has proven to us that you shouldn't take things at face value. And
I absolutely love what Darcy said. They recast Quicksilver. That was very funny. That was very meta.
I think the people who are saying like, "Oh, guys, it's going to transition to X-Men." Whoa! I think they're projecting what they want onto the scene. And yeah, and Kelly's in the chat.
I'm taking it.
And Kelly's in the chat right now saying, "Thank you, Neil. Wanda wouldn't recast her own brother."
If we're what I understand to be is this is the first chapter of the Doctor Strange Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, like this
mega arc, the alternate reality stuff. So this may be the beginning of how we're getting Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland in here. So we may be merging things. So,
my personal theory is that I think it was John Byrne who revealed that Wanda's kids were Mephisto beings, right? The chaos magic energy.
I am actually in the middle of trying to reread all that stuff. I started with the 4-issue Scarlet Witch and Vision mini on Marvel Unlimited. My next step is the 12-issue one, which is really they're really trying to ape in the TV show that setting. So
yeah,
and I need to read the Avengers West Coast stuff too.
That was yeah. I remember we were talking in the Discord, and George was like, "If they put Wonder Man there, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm gonna be angry."
Hey, what's wrong with Wonder Man? I asked George that. What's wrong with Wonder Man?
Let's go in. I'm gonna go into the chat real quick and let's figure it out. Let's
because I always liked Wonder Man.
Hang on. I'm looking.
What was it in the Vision mini? Wonder Man was playing Omega the Unknown. The
There's a
movie.
there's a lot of really there's a lot of very nice callbacks, like there's small ones. Here we go. Simon Williams has always been a low appeal character. Hang on, I'm trying to do George's like thick Texan accent. Simon Williams has always been a low appeal character. I hated the Burn Avengers bit, yeah, but also Kurt Busiek's Avengers made me straight up hate the guy and Beast along with him. That character can drown his battery ass as far as I'm concerned. That was a terrible George, but
No, that sounded like George.
but no, I
burn and batter ass.
To be fair, Beast hasn't really gotten better. So, like in X Force, he's a sort of a war criminal. He wants to be in the CIA.
Been ruined since Beast has been ruined since Morrison and X-Men. I've never liked the Cookie Monster looking face on him.
Oh, the cat face.
Cat face. I've always liked the Avengers Perez stuff.
Oh, like the Ape Man stuff.
Classic Beast. The Beast that was in the X-Men cartoon. That X-Men. I mean that Beast. But anyway, so do you think they're gonna do it? Do you think in this show they're gonna introduce Mephisto?
I think so. It just feels like they've got Agnes, who is, I think we can safely say, is Agatha Harkness. But
for sure thing.
But like you got Agatha Harkness.
She's even got the little medallion or whatever that she wears. That's pretty much a given.
My personal guess, and I think I talked about this with Kelly, is Witch Coven. Like even though Wanda created the simulation, we'll call it the Truman Show because that's what I've been calling it. Wanda created the Truman Show, but she's gradually losing control of it as she uses more chaos magic to power it, which is letting Mephisto and I think Agatha slowly take over.
Agatha doesn't seem like she's in much control. But what is her role in the show?
I guess she's supposed to be like the sassy neighbor.
No, I meant...
Or we're talking about Agatha as a character.
No, I'm talking about her in the show. Like, it seems like she's being controlled by Wanda. So what is she doing there? I'm not totally up on my Avengers Scarlet Witch stuff.
My personal bet, tying into the Wanda slowly losing control bit, because I think that's obvious that she's losing control of it, is that like Agatha helped her harness the chaos magic element of her powers.
She's awesome. Well, she's a witch from the Salem witch trials, isn't she? I think is what she's from.
I think that's her origin.
First time I ever saw her, she was the babysitter for Franklin Richards in the John Byrne Fantastic Four run in the 80s. It's the first time I ever saw her. So, anyway, yeah, Mephisto is the father of those kids, isn't he?
I don't think he's the father, but he's the source of the chaos magic used to birth them.
Make them. Yeah.
Because I think it was a combination of like she took like a bit of vision and put them into the babies, just to make them his. But they used Doctor Strange, because Doctor Strange I think was the one who helped Wanda focus her chaos magic to make the children. But it tapped into Mephisto's realm and he took them.
So is Wanda being controlled?
I don't think
Mephisto, or
I don't think Wanda's being like actively controlled. I think that like from this point on, now that Mephisto, Fox Mephisto is actively in the simulation, he's going to be like manipulating her, but he's not going to be like actively like doing what she did in the Avengers movies and like mind controlling her.
Okay. So, I liked how when she came out of the dome, how evil she looked. Like that doesn't seem like the same character.
I love how she slipped back into like her Eastern European accent. Like, she's gradually become like more westernized in terms of like her phoneticism of words.
Yeah.
But like when she's really angry, and George pointed this out, is that you Oh, Kelly mentioned me on her Instagram. Thank you, Kelly. Where was I? Please refresh me. European.
You're talking about her European accent comes
Yeah,
out.
like, but when she's really pissed off, it like slips back in. Like you can hear the Romaine. I think Sokovia is like a Eastern European Romanian country in terms of geography. Like, you know, a Simcaria like region.
Do you think, because I think it's been retconned since it was first introduced in the 80s, you think Magneto is still their father?
I don't.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
like if
Wouldn't it be cool to see Michael Fassbender come through the door next? I mean, Daddy's home.
Oh no. The way you said that.
My best Magneto.
No, it wasn't. That was just you.
Okay, sorry, I tried to play it off.
You tried.
But no, I mean, that last X-Men movie, which was horrid, maybe it was the second to last X-Men
Dark
movie.
Phoenix
Quicksilver
or
spent a lot of it. Like, should I tell him he's my father? Should we bring Maury Povich out? I mean, never did.
You are the father.
You are the mutant father. Yeah. Technically, this episode that just dropped, the first time the X-Men are in the MCU. I mean, that's historic. That's awesome.
I still don't think it's the X-Men. I'm gonna be honest.
You don't think it's Quicksilver? Okay. You think, what is it then? If it's not Quicksilver, what is it? It's a Mephisto dummy?
I think it's Mephisto disguising himself as Pietro, because he knows that it's an emotionally vulnerable subject for Wanda, and he can exploit her that way.
Okay.
Because, you know, she's not well, so.
By the way, maybe you know your Vision better than I do. What is on his head in the comics? Because in the comics, it's an Infinity Stone. What is that jewel on his head?
I think it was... I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it was just like a focusing lens for his laser.
So the question is, it's
a solar jewel. It's a solar jewel. I just remembered it's a solar jewel. So like it's like a solar panel, but it's a way that he intakes radiation and also discharges it, like, you know, the red laser.
So the question is, which obviously he'll survive this show, I imagine. They're not going to kill Vision twice. But
do you think
somehow
they will?
No, he'll get better. They all do.
Doc Samson.
I mean, yeah, Doc Samson got better. Cap got shot, got better. Yeah.
Thor died.
We've seen it in the trailer, the teaser, of Vision walking through the dome. So I wonder if he'll just faceplant on the other side.
like the sword agents here at Breest are running outside, guns are out, and then the corpse just falls over.
Well, we've all had a computer like that, right? No.
Yeah, I called it my MacBook.
Exactly. But anyway, I now here's another question: are they making a season 2, or is this just like a 9-episode series? We're done.
I don't know, and that's kind of got me curious. Is like, because they kind of can't top the thematic changing throughout the series.
Oh,
so like how
they can't repeat that?
Like, it's not like Falcon and Winter Soldier, where like you can have these two characters and doing, like, you know, generic action movie things. And I'm actually looking forward to that, by the way.
I think it's interesting. Wasn't Winter Soldier and Falcon supposed to be the first Marvel series?
It was, but because they were filming, I believe, in Puerto Rico, they had to shut down because of COVID.
I mean, this is a neat way to start the Marvel television cinematic universe, which is this is night and day from what they were putting out with S.H.I.E.L.D. And
that's because they had Ike Perlmutter and he was putting budget on everything.
But I did like Daredevil and Punisher, but this feels like a movie broken up into 30-minute chunks. So it's cool. It has I have the same anticipation this each week that I have had with The Mandalorian.
So real quick, since we're on the topic of, like, you know, the other MCU shows, which ones are you looking forward to? Because I don't think we've talked about them since the investor call.
Let's see.
Because
we got with X-Men. We've got
you really want X-Men in the MCU.
I want Wolverine to fight Hulk, but not Professor Hulk. I want that cinematic fight. I really think that would be good.
So you want like a CGI?
So what are the
blob
shows
fighting.
we got? Falcon Winter Soldier, that's been announced.
You got Loki.
What else we got?
You've got
Loki looks good.
You've got Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight.
I have no connection to Miss Marvel because I've never read her solo book.
Okay,
I just never picked that up.
read like the pre-Secret Wars stuff. That's like some genuinely great comic.
Yeah.
I think it helps that I read her
The
series.
She-Hulk show I'm looking forward to, and the fact that I love Jennifer Walters.
Great lead.
I don't
remember her name, but she was a great she's a great actress. So
I don't know why they didn't get that one girl that she thought she was getting the role. When they put out a casting call, they were like, is it Brie? Not Brie Larson. Allison Brie. She would have been perfect. I liked her in Mad Men. But anyway, they didn't cast her, and they cast some gal I've never even heard of.
She was in, I think she was in Orphan Black.
I didn't see that. So, a lawyer comedy in the style of Ally McBeal would be kind of fun. Anyway, a superhero lawyer show would be funny. I think that would work. I think that'd be fun.
Do you think because of budget she'll spend more time as She-Hulk or as Jennifer?
I think the whole thing they're doing is you want to see a big green lady in court in a suit. I mean that's what they're gonna do. I mean,
I asked that because of like, you know, budget. I know we talked earlier about like Disney has FU money and they can just throw whatever they need to at it to make it work.
Yes.
But I can imagine like they'd want to, you know, give. One of the things I noted is that like in Infinity War, the characters are always taking off their masks. Like Iron Man's helmet's always coming off, so you can see Robert Downey Jr. So I personally think that she'll spend more time as Jennifer, and like the She-Hulk coming out will be like a special occasion kind of thing. Like, you know, like a you know how in Sailor Moon or like in
how about
Voltron they always like have everyone form Voltron, they spend like a minute transforming into Voltron.
Well, they could do it like they did the old Bixby show. Every half hour and at the end of every hour, they could have him turn into the Hulk. That's what they always did. But it might be when she needs to be mean in court, where she's cross-examining a witness, she turns on the green. Like, how intimidating would that be if you got a big green monster cross-examining you?
Or like the green eyes.
And that would be kind of fun. Oh, yeah. Like, are you telling the truth? And then tight shot of the eyes going a little green. I mean, that would be fun.
And they like
that
freak out.
Yeah, I did it. Don't smash.
And then you've got.
I can see that.
Okay, so anyways, other MCU shows. They got like the What If cartoon. That looks kind of just like let's have some fun with these weird concepts that we had. Nothing special, but
I'll probably watch it. Oh, you know what's sad as a Spider-Man fan is I see all this stuff and
Spider-Man's like a perfect TV show format. Like I get that because they didn't have Disney Plus when they got Spider-Man back, they had to make him a movie, and movies sell better. You can quantify that. But like Spider-Man being in like a TV format is where he belongs. Like Spec and the '90s show are perfect examples of this. And I made a joke.
I agree.
I talked about it before I did like the organized Bogenrieder Variety Hour format. I did a segment where I talked about like, you know, Amazon Prime, I think, is lined up to do a Silk show, and I'm like, I know you have reservations about the character, but as one of her 10 fans, I feel obliged to say it. But I think that Silk beats Spider-Man to the good format.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Silk is okay. Her last book was okay. I can't see myself spending $4 a month on her. I think it
helps that I've already got Amazon Prime. Like I'm already watching Jack Ryan. I'm already watching Invincible, or I'm going to be watching Invincible when it comes out. So it's like, you know, that helps that I've already got the service. It's like a bonus for me. But Armor. Sorry.
The one I'm also looking forward to is Moon Knight. I've always liked that character a lot. He's essentially a even crazier Batman.
Isn't Oscar Isaac playing that?
So yeah, you've got Poe Dameron playing Mark Spector, or what's his other names? Jack Lockley,
Mr. Knight.
Knight.
It would be great to see like Oscar Isaac in the Mr. Knight suit, just the white suit and black tie. That would be a great look for him. Then you got
guarantee there's going to be a werewolf by night in that book.
I think they've already confirmed that he's in it.
Oh, they are. Yeah.
And then
You got Armor Wars with Don Cheadle, right? You got that coming.
You got Ironheart, which I think is going off of Armor Wars, and I think that like if they set it after Armor Wars, that gives like an actual justification for Riri to get the suit, because like you've got like all these different pieces of Stark tech just all over the place, and she just gets her hands on it and makes a patchwork Iron Man suit.
Like, I'll probably watch that. I didn't mind Riri when I reread her. Sorry. But that seems like it's almost.
That one feels like a big.
I like James Rhodes, but that. What am I looking for? The whole second generation of heroes, and you can include Miles Morales in that. He's a legacy character, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Ironheart's a legacy character. Cho is a Hulk legacy character.
Not anymore.
Ian Foster is. I don't know what he is anymore. He's in Champions.
he's a champion now. Who cares?
Yeah, he's a champion. There's a whole section of those legacy characters, and I'm not done reading the main ones. Like, I'd much rather see Tony Stark than Riri Williams, but it's a TV show. But I mean, you could probably do something with it.
In the MCU, it helps that in the MCU, like, the characters stay dead, so you kind of have to move forward, and the characters age. Like you've got
not Chris Evans. He's coming back.
I still think it's his corpse as Joe Biden, Captain America.
Joe Biden, Captain America.
I think in the second season it'll open on an open casket funeral of his corpse. It's just sitting there.
I mean, I'm not writing letters and saying, "Dear Marvel, please give me an Ironheart series. Please give me an Armor Wars series."
It's one of those things.
Where, Armor Wars without Tony Stark is going to be weird, because I liked Armor Wars back in the 80s.
It's weird because like I didn't ask for an Ironheart series, but like if someone else enjoys it, who am I to impede on their happiness?
I would agree. I'm not the only Marvel consumer out there. There's multiple, just like Ms. Marvel. One of the things about that video game that I didn't pick up,
the Avengers one,
so many Avengers video game, is I heard that Ms. Marvel takes up a bunch of it. And I saw a whole bunch of bad reviews. I'm like, I never bought it. I never bought that Avengers.
Here's the
PS4
thing:
game.
I didn't buy. It's one of the situations like I have a friend who bought it, so he let me play it. Miss Marvel's actually
is it good, or what'd you think?
It's fine. Like, okay, so
that's not a glowing review.
like Miss Marvel. I
I
liked Kamala in the game. Like, as far as like the fish out of water character who's easing her way into the group, I like her. The problem is that the game is reliant on co-op gameplay, so you're forced to play with other people, and there's no end game content. So once you beat the campaign, that's it. I did like the Kate Clint DLC, the one that introduces the Hawkeyes.
How much is that?
I think it's free.
Well, there you go.
Actually,
there's a Maestro thing in there too, with the Hulk.
Yeah. Speaking of which, let's talk about Hawkeye, the TV series.
Oh, there you go. That's another modern book that I didn't buy when it came out, like Tom King's Vision. That I think I read that over the summer, because I've heard so many good things about Fraction's Hawkeye. I liked it a lot. They've
got great casting on this one, because you've got Jeremy Renner. I think he's just been not given a whole lot to do in the Avengers films, and that's why people don't really like him as much as the other characters. Because he's when you got like a guy with a metal suit of armor and a guy with a boomerang shield, a guy with a bow and arrow.
The big three. Exactly. You got Cap has his own solo movies. You got Thor as his solo movies.
Iron Man's got his. Iron Man's basically the centerpiece of the entire saga.
Yeah, Hulk should have had his own solo movie.
Okay.
But no one ever says, "Hey, what about that Hawkeye movie?"
I think a TV series is the best place to put him in.
I would agree.
And
I read the Young Avengers back in the day. I thought it was okay. I thought Kate Bishop was okay, but I really liked her the most when I read her in the Hawkeye solo book. And I like Clint Barton kind of being down on your luck. He's a slob. He eats pizza with his pizza dog, and Kate Bishop is the grown-up. And I thought that was just kind of fun. So,
I think they got a great casting. I think they got a great casting in Haley Steinfeld. You've seen Bumblebee, right?
She did. I thought Bumblebee was very well done. I geeked out when that yellow Camaro turned into a VW Bug and drove with Optimus over the Golden Gate, San Francisco Bridge. I was like, ah.
But like the
opening of Bumblebee was great too.
The opening on Cybertron,
characters.
But like the fact
Looked
that
just like the toys I played with.
but I think that it speaks to the fact that Haley Steinfeld can act opposite a CGI robot that she can't even see. I think that goes a long way to show how great. And she was also Gwen in Spider-Verse.
No, but did you also see her in True Grit?
I did. She was great. She played opposite Jeff Bridges, right?
Wasn't she nominated for an Academy Award for that?
I think so.
If not, she should have been. Wait, she was good. She's a good actress. I like her a lot. Perfect casting on that.
And she's and I think
that'll be a good one. Is there another show I'm missing?
The Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Oh, yeah, that'd be fun. You got to have the Hoff in it though. You got to put Hasselhoff in it.
And then you've got like the Wakanda series, the one that takes place.
Oh yeah, that one was just announced. Who is going to be in that one? What could that be?
I guess it's like an anthology of talking about like the different aspects of Wakandan civilization. I think that's an interesting idea because Black Panther or Chadwick Boseman passed away, and you can't really frame a movie around a dead person. So
yeah, I didn't see any information about that show, but if they did like the various kings before T'Challa, that would be interesting.
Or like
the Black Panther of the 20s or the Black Panther of the 1800s, or
like going all the way back to like when the meteor hit Wakanda.
Oh yeah. Oh, let's start it there. That'd be cool.
They covered it like a little. They covered it a little, and I think Hudlin's run with JR. So taking
I remember that.
Now, granted, I don't like Hudlin's run, but like if they took like bits and pieces of it and translated that into real life, I think they could genuinely make something great out of it.
I agree. I just wish, and it might be an awesome film. Black Panther 2 is gonna it already had a big challenge to improve the first one. It's got even more of a big challenge
because they've lost their lead.
And I think Shuri works better as his little sister. But they're in a rock and a hard place. Get it? Rock and a hard place with the meteor. No. But they're in a rock and a hard place with that, trying to make her the female Black Panther, and replacing a beloved main character and actor. So, and also having her fight up against a potential Namor and Doctor Doom, which is what I've heard was potentially going to be.
I've also heard rumors that Kraven was supposed to be the main villain of Black Panther 2.
I could totally see Kraven being in Wakanda, and
then slowly
introducing him and going
Spider-Man.
after Spider-Man. Yeah.
It's better than being an Iron Man villain.
Anything else. Anything else.
And then I guess
every Spider-Man villain is an Iron Man villain.
And then I think we've kind of comprehensively covered the MCU. Like, the future looks bright for them. Like, Eternals looks like garbage, though. The costume design and I made a joke that, like, the Celestials look like Bayformers. Since we're talking about Transformers, they looked like the Michael Bay designs from the first movie.
We talk Transformers.
it's either a gift or
I don't know a conversation that...
It's my gift, my curse.
Wait, let's just go for Transformers. There's the show on Netflix. It's like 6 episodes. Should I commit to watching it? Should I watch it, or is it good or bad?
It's honestly like background noise. Like I watch it when I'm doing.
Again, sounds like your Avengers PS4 review.
Well, at least the Avengers PS4 game. At least the Avengers game, I'm forced to actually interact with it. But like, it feels like they took like random characters and just kind of put them in, like, because look at this character. Look, guys, it's Ratchet. Look, guys, it's Bumblebee. But like, they have no resemblance to their characters at all.
Sucks. That sucks. That again, your recommendation for the PS4 game was it's fine. This one is it's background noise. So. Again, I speak Neil, and that means they aren't that great.
Oof. But I guess for our final topic, let's talk about Fantastic Four life story. So you're
gonna have to refresh me with the writer because it's not Zdarsky.
So for those of you in the chat who are watching, Fantastic Four life story. So back in like 2019, Chip Zdarsky and Mark Bagley did a what if on Spider-Man, where it covered like each issue covered a decade of the character's history. One was in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, and the 2010s. And so this year they're repeating the same formula, this time with the Fantastic Four by writer Mark Russell and artist Sean. What's his last? I can't pronounce his last name. It's on his Twitter. Hang on. What?
Okay, I thought it was Phillips. Marvel, not one to let a good idea ever not repeat itself. Decide,
Isaacsus.
let's do more life stories. So,
Isaacix. Okay.
bless you.
Thank you. But for those of you who haven't read any Mark Russell books, he's the guy who did the Flintstones book back in 2016, back when DC was pushing their Hanna-Barbera lineup.
Are you saying you read the Flintstone book?
It was amazing. Like, okay, so take like
no, I remember the covers and stuff. Like they did like grim and gritty Hanna-Barbera. They did like Scooby-Doo and Flintstones.
Scooby Apocalypse, yeah.
Anyway.
The Flintstones was like the best of the bunch. He also did a Snaggletooth adaptation, where like he's a gay Tennessee playwright, and it's really good. Like it does a lot to cover, like, social issues of those time periods, and I think it's impressive that he's able to transition them and make them relevant to today's issues.
It reminds me of when DC combined the Looney Tunes with the Batman stuff.
Yeah, do you remember
Elmer Fudd?
Do you remember the one where he fought Batman by Tom King? Where he made Elmer Fudd a genuine badass?
I did not read the book, but I've seen art from it because I like Lee Weeks a lot. But it's just not something I would read. But taking classic cartoons and turning them grim and gritty, sure. Probably saw a couple books by that.
And then recently he did a book called...
It shows that writer is really awesome if he can take it the Flintstones comic.
Yeah, and he's doing a book at Ahoy I think it's at Ahoy, called Second Coming, where a superhero has to room with Jesus Christ. And it sounds stupid, but it's hilarious.
You're hitting me with two different things. I've never heard of Ahoy comics. Is it?
And then Jesus Christ rooming with the superhero.
Jesus Christ has a roommate. No, that's good things, Neil, you're hitting me with. I've never heard of.
Now you have. And the world is worse off for it.
And better for it. Thank you, Neil.
But like I think that Russell is going to be really good at like tying together the social issues of the 60s with like the high concept fiction and science fiction of the Fantastic Four comics. At least I think so.
Well, the last issue they'll be in their 80s or 90s if you do 60 years of.
Because how old was Peter?
Fantastic Four.
How old was Peter in the last issue of Life Story?
I don't know. Must have been. Spider-Man's nearly 60 years old too. Isn't next year 2022 his 60th year? He was created in 1962. So yes.
So he's like 16 in each decade. So he's about, because it ends in 2019. So he's like 70, not 70.
He's gonna be in his 70s. Yeah.
So I think that, and Reed was older, so he's like in his 30s in the original Lee Kirby comics, right?
60 plus 30, 60. So Reed would be in his 90s. Johnny's probably a teenager, 15 or 16. So
Reed's in his 70s in 1962.
Yeah,
this is the way you said.
Anyway, is the art good?
I like it.
Who's the artist?
It's the guy who did the.
Okay, what have I seen? Has he done anything I know?
I'm trying to remember what book he did besides.
Is this their Marvel debut, both of them?
No, this is Russell's debut, but Isaac X did. He did the last issue of Avengers: No Road Home, the sequel to No Surrender. I'd actually recommend you pick that up because it's a really. Did you read No Surrender?
It took place in the Weekly Avengers book, yeah.
Yeah, it's a sequel to that book, and it's really good.
That book kind of ticked me off because it was a mini-series that they put legacy numbers on, and I didn't buy it. I hate when they do that. They also did that legacy stuff with an X-Men mini-series. I'm like, that's cheating. Come on.
Oh, well.
I'm not picking it up.
But he also did the arc of Slott's Fantastic Four where Hulk fought where Thing thought the Immortal Hulk.
Oh. I did read that.
And I know that we're not big fans of Slott's book, but he does have good artists. Like he got Pacelli, he got who was it? He got Caselli, he got this guy. I'll try and find some samples to send you after the show ends. But he's
Googled it.
But he's a great artist. I think that he fits the idea of like a book that gradually changes eras. His art has got like a sort of timeless feel, especially when it comes to like the Galactus stuff, because Galactus is featured in the preview.
Hey, Lord knows it's got to be better than the ongoing Fantastic Four book now. That thing is dumpster trash. I mean,
the only thing that Slott has in that book is the artist. Slott has gotten really lucky with artists. Because he's gotten Pacelli, he's gotten this guy, he's gotten RB. He got RB Silva, who I really like.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. I want to read about Johnny and Reed and Sue. This Fantastic Four focuses on Valeria. It focuses on a dark-haired Franklin, both whiny teenagers.
There's a bird lady.
Yeah, the love of Johnny's life, who we know is not true. It's Elijah that is the love. No, I'm just kidding.
We're not going to get into this argument tonight.
And I don't care about the bird lady. I hated that bird story.
I'm sorry, just the way we're describing this. There's a bird story.
Yeah. Bird story. They land on a planet they were supposed to land on from the first launch because Slott likes to take classic Stan Lee stories and take massive Taco Bell dumps on them. And I mean, it's just awful. And then because I didn't read Secret Invasion or whatever the hell that thing was, the crossover that no one gave a crap about. What was it?
You got like 10 of them in the past decade, so...
Oh, I know. The most recent one that Slott did...
Empire.
That came out. Empire. I had no desire to read that. Evidently...
I read 4 issues for you. That's what I did. I read 4 issues of that for you.
I apologize from the bottom of the heart that you had to read that. But evidently they adopted 2 Skrulls or something. Ben and...
Actually, like that. That's one of the 2 things I like in the book. The one is the art. The other is like Ben and Alicia being adopted parents. I thought that was a neat little dynamic for them.
I do like them married. I don't think. I mean that they've always been a boyfriend girlfriend, except when Johnny tried to mess things up. But
that was late burn, if I recall correctly.
Like 300-ish. But anyway, that book is just awful. Just absolutely horrible. And
who do you want to take over for? Just out of curiosity.
What?
If Slott was if one day someone saw the 616 documentary and Mike Perlmutter was like, "This is horrible for us. You're gone," and he fires Slott, who would you want to take over Fantastic Four in his stead?
Almost anybody. I don't really have an art writer that I know. I mean, Tom King. Not Tom King. He would be fine. We could do Al Ewing, Jason Aaron.
I think Ewing wrote Mr. Fantastic and the Fantastic Four and Empire, and I liked them there because he co-wrote it with Slott, and Slott did like the plotting, and Ewing did the actual script.
Last good Fantastic Four run was Jonathan Hickman, and that's what 10 years ago.
Did you not like Fraction and Robinson's runs? With the red costumes.
Yeah,
for no reason?
I did like Robinson's run. It was very brief. Fractions, no, I did not. Even though it had Mark Bagley art on it, which I like Mark Bagley a lot, but I didn't care for that one. I don't know why. I can't remember one story from it. But the Slott is the worst I've read of Fantastic Four probably ever.
Really?
No.
Wait, so
I've been reading Fantastic Four that's burned in the 80s.
So I've got 2 picks for Fantastic Four if Slott leaves. The first is Mark Russell, who's, if he does good on this, I think this is like a good like getting your feet wet kind of deal. Like this is like testing your theory before you get into the actual application of your work. And then and then the other is Robbie Thompson, who did he did them in like the 1 issue of Silk, and I liked them there. And then he also
yes. He's a good writer. I liked his Silk stuff. But, you know who else I would get rid of? I would get Tom Brevoort off that book. He's been on it for so long. And very rarely do you see letter pages where they're like, man, this stuff kind of sucks. And Tom Brevoort's like defending plot. Have you been reading the letters pages of Fantastic Four?
I have.
Did you read this?
I have. I just think it's funny.
Did you read the letters that said, man, Slott kind of sucks? Some of them are like that. And Brevoort's like, yeah, we know, but what are we going to do? I'm like, come on, get both of you get out of here.
No. I enjoy it when they fight.
Jeez.
Do you think Bravort? Hang on, real quick. Do you think Bravort is like the last of like Casada's
What are
old
you
boy?
eating?
I'm eating a pretzel. I got a bunch of pretzels on a plate with a hot
Okay.
dog.
Okay.
Do you think if Bravort left, that would be the end of like the Casada Boys Club that popped up in the 2000s from Casada's old editor-in-chief
Yes.
days?
Yes, I do. I honestly do. I don't know much about CB Cebulski. I know when he first started, I know the controversy. I don't see him very hands-on or as much of a presence as Joe Quesada or what's his name was the editor after
Alonso?
him. Yeah. Yeah. Brevoort has just been there so long. He produces a lot of crap. I mean, he's a toxic figure online.
We know that firsthand.
He also, I do. He's badmouthed my website before.
Or am I thinking of Whacker? I'm thinking of Whacker, I think.
No, Brevoort has before too.
Ooh.
He came on my message board years ago, pimp something. Then he posted something else online that he hated our site or thought we were a bunch of haters because he was probably regurgitating what Slot has said. So I've not been a fan of Brevoort since then. And him letting Slot just do anything but the world's greatest comic is just proof that he needs to go. So,
What book do you? Here's a better question. What book do you see Slot taking on after Fantastic Four?
the second issue of the Spider-Man toilet paper series, and it still wouldn't be up to par.
Do you think he'd be good in like a Star Wars book, like like a?
Oh. I don't like his writing, with the exception of his Spider-Man and Human Torch run. I don't care for his writing. I don't know how.
Do you not like his She-Hulk or his Avengers: The Initiative?
I did like his She-Hulk book. I did. I have a problem with even if he didn't have such a toxic relationship with my website. His last bit on Spider-Man after what was it when Spider-Man became a billionaire.
Parker Industries.
That point, Parker Industries till the end of Spider-Man was just awful.
No, Brad, I know this. I used to review that book for you.
I know. That stuff's awful.
Mark and I suffered a lot for you. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do. When I started the site, I was reviewing Mackie and Byrne Chapter 1 stuff, so I've been through it too back in the day. We've all reviewed awful books, but I just think he has progressively gotten worse, and so much so I would hope I would not have. And George has said this to me before. He was like, "Why do you support it? Why do you pick up Iron Man? Why do you pick up Fantastic Four? Why do you pick up his Spider-Man?" It's because I've been buying these books for 30 years, and I care for the characters more than the people that create them. And I still want to read what happens to Spider-Man, even if it's an awful story. I still want to see what happens to the Fantastic Four, even if they hook up with a bird lady. I want to read Iron Man, even if he hooks up with his mother, who used to be a rock star. And actually, Bendis did that, and he just did it also.
Slot enabled it by keeping on going.
Yeah. But, see, I stuck with Iron Man, and it got better. I stuck with Spider-Man, it got better. I'll stick with Fantastic Four, it'll get better. So, every time he leaves, it gets better. So, anyway, that's you know my opinions about Slott and his writing and his behavior online. So
since we finished our topic, and I think we're both looking forward to the life story bit, but let's finish off tonight with a bit of an open-ended question. Given that these characters have 60 or sometimes 80 years worth of legacy in the case of like Captain America, do you think it would be not necessarily Marvel's best interest, but do you think for the sake of like refreshing brands and making something new, if they like mass canceled all of the books and then began with brand new IPs, or do you think it would be better for Marvel to stick it out for the long haul and just double down on these brands, even though they're like continuity muddled messes?
Brand new IPs like the Ultimate Spider-Man IP?
No, just like completely new characters, like taking the Marvel heroes off the board completely, like retiring them, letting Kevin Feige have his fun with them, and just focusing entirely on creating a different universe.
Oh, well, we witnessed that in the mid '80s with Jim Shooter in the New Universe, and we saw what that happened. It was magic in a bottle when Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, etc., created the Marvel Universe in '61. That Marvel will not take these off the board. They're money makers. Comics, not so. I mean, comics profits are just, it's like print and everything. I really do think when I'm 60 years old, I won't have a physical copy of a comic book. I think I will log on to my tablet or my virtual reality or something on a Wednesday. I'll see the Adventures of Spider-Man. Issue 1005.
We're about to hit 1,000 issues. You think about this. We're about to hit 900 issues of Amazing Spider-Man. How does that feel? Like, like people who've been around for like Action Comics number 1,000. That must be like a insane feeling. How do you feel that Spider-Man's going to hit 1,000 issues if we go at this pace in the next 8 years?
Oh, Spider-Man cheated for the last 30 years to get to 1,000. He did monthly. He comes out twice a month. He in the 90s.
So did Action Comics during Rebirth. So
yeah, he did double shipping in the 90s during the summer months. But anyway, I was around in the 100s issue, like 180, 178, like my earliest memory of Amazing Spider-Man. So I've been around a long time with them, and having issue 1000 will be cool. But
$25 issue.
Yeah, exactly. The $25. Oh my God, that's probably what they're going to do. $25, 100 variants. No, 1,000 variants. Why not 1,000 variants? 1,000.
I probably think Braveheart could think they could get away with it. So.
Oh my gosh. But no, can you imagine what issue 2 of these new intellectual properties would be if Marvel put them out? Call them Amazing. Well, we already have a Y-Man. How about the Amazing Z-Man? So everyone would buy the first issue, the second issue would tank, and third issue would tank even more, and issue 4 they'd be done. The comics industry can't take new ideas a bunch at a time. They need their Spider-Mans, they need their Batmans, they need their Supermans, they need their Hulks.
And the reason I propped up this question was because if you look at like manga, one of the reasons people have cited manga as being a generally superior form of entertainment as opposed to Western comics is because these characters generally tend to have like one creative team and one artist. Like if you look at like My Hero Academia, which is I consider it a gateway manga. That book has only had, I believe, one creator and one artist, whereas with these characters like and they tend to end after a set amount of time. Like they've told their story, except for like One Piece. That's the book that will never die for whatever reason. But you look at them and you look at characters like Spider-Man who have had like dozens of writers over the years. And they're such, I don't want to say messes, but like they tend to not have a strict linear vision of where the character goes because of conflicting interests. And the reason I asked that was because whether or not eventually ending the brand is good for it. Because Spider-Man can't, because we joked, like you remember the Mummy revival that they did in 2017. Like certain brands just don't last forever.
I mean, not Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise.
Yeah, the one with the trailer that had no sound.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
But like sometimes brands just don't last forever, and sometimes I wonder when the Marvel franchises, like they've got money coming in because of the movies, but like the IPs that they spawn from, do you think they'll ever end?
Everything always ends. Superman and Batman have a 30-year jump start on Spider-Man. I would argue Spider-Man's a better character than those two. But,
Superman got into some weird shit during Action Comics, just saying.
Yeah. I think Spider-Man will be around in 2062. I really do. I think this is probably as popular as Marvel will ever be. The movies and the especially with the movies. The comics, the most popular they've ever been is the '90s. If you
when you had the
base it
market
on
crash.
sales. What's sad is that people don't connect the movies with the comics. The sales of the comics, I think if you ask any retailer, you don't see that many people come in the door. Say, hey, I just saw that new Avengers movie. Where can I get a whole bunch of stuff?
I've
Don't
heard
think it connects.
and I've heard discussion tied to like, well, what if we put them back in like grocery stores, like in like a Publix or something, and then that kind of leads to a spiral of like, well, then the specialty shops lose their charm and become redundant, and so they go. I don't think they go out of business because they're selling more Magic the Gathering cards than comics, but you know.
Um, and I've often argued that put them in the grocery store. Comics need to be an impulse buy, because that's what they were when I got started. They were, hey, mom's getting a tank of gas. Let's go in and get a soda. Hey, look at that spinner rack. That's how I got hooked, because I saw Spider-Man on the Electric Company and the Amazing Friends and stuff like that. That's how I became a 40-plus year fan. There are not when in the 80s and the 70s, there weren't as many entertainment options as there are now for kids. Comic books were a big one, and now they have video games. Now they have cell phone games. Now they have social media. Now they have Netflix shows. Now they have movies. And they had movies then, but there's so much entertainment
they weren't easily
out
as
there.
accessible as they are now, where you can literally just go onto HBO Max and.
So the comic book may not be the future. These characters may have weekly events like WandaVision, where it's a television series on demand. You see the weekly adventures of Wanda and Vision. You see the weekly adventures of Peter Parker. Marvel Unlimited is nice. Maybe that's the future. Maybe digital comics are the future. I don't know what digital comic sales are. Are they better than the printed version? I don't think so. I don't see
Maybe
the
some of
average
them.
teenager logging on and buying $4. I don't think $4 is that great a value for 22 pages of content.
Especially digital when you don't even have like the physical copy in your hand.
And they only do that because if they charge less, the comic shops will go under. So they're in a rock and a hard place again. So I think a 99-cent comic digitally be more productive, but I wouldn't want the comic shops to go under for it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
and I envision in your lifetime, and probably mine when I'm really older, they're going to reboot the MCU. We're going to have another Captain America. We're going to retell the stories of Iron Man,
wow, geez.
etc. That's coming. That's coming. They have Marvel Cinematic Universe Phase 6 or whatever. It's like, let's reboot it. And that's
Secret
just
Wars,
like the
Secret
comics.
Wars time, baby.
Secret Wars. Yes, exactly. They're gonna reboot the cinematic universe.
Or they can use like some in-universe bullshit switch to recast the characters as younger versions of themselves.
All they got to do is this.
That's all Kevin Feige
And
has
we
to do.
reset.
Kevin Feige is Thanos.
Thanos snaps it again, and we're all stage one. Marvel Cinematic Universe 2.0.
You got you got stages 1 to 6, and then you've got like your Flashpoint. Your Kevin Feige snaps his fingers, and then you're back to like.
Do you not agree? It's coming. It's coming, and in 15 or 20 years, it's coming.
I can't predict 15 to 20 years in the future. All I know then is that Disney will own the world, and I will have to get like a Mickey Mouse tattoo stamped on my wrist to buy groceries.
Maybe by then, Spider-Man will be more involved because they bought Sony by then.
By then, I think Spider-Man will be in the real world. I think by then we'll have made a radioactive spider, and it'll bite some random schmuck in
that
New
one.
York.
That one I didn't predict. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, I know we ended tonight on a very existential note, but it was great to have you on for this episode.
Yeah. As we witnessed, it's impossible for me not to talk Spider-Man at some point. Have to weave him in. Oh,
yes. So anyone who came in from Discord, I lied. We did talk about Spider-Man. So oh well. But yeah, this
Spider-Man is like what's 6 degrees of bacon or separation?
Yeah.
6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
It's
or
like
what?
it's like talking about Transformers for me. I can't get away from it. Yeah.
Exactly. It all comes back to Spider-Man for conversation wise for me.
But
Yeah.
yeah, for any of
So,
you guys who came in from the Discord, make sure you follow on Twitch and or go on YouTube and subscribe there. I upload these to YouTube, so if you missed it here, you can always look at the past broadcasts or go onto YouTube. So everyone have a good night, and this is the Bogenrieder Variety Hour signing off. Have a good night.